Today's story, the Palms, the Last Supper, the crucifixion, reveals who we are. As Holy Week comes around, we don't spend that much time with the cross. We love Palm Sunday, and we love Maundy Thursday, and then we usually like to skip to Easter. I'll be part of the Good Friday service at Grace Crossing this week if you want to be there for that. But for people who have a cross as our symbol, we don't spend that much time with it, do we? This Sunday, we provide a bit of narrative and emotional whiplash. From a procession of joy, to a feast of remembrance, to a day of death and despair. And we learn, if we listen closely, more about ourselves and more about Jesus. In the joy of Palm Sunday, we greet the Jesus that we expect. Jesus in theory. Jesus in theory is always more popular than Jesus in practice. Welcomed into Jerusalem with palms and adulation, that's Jesus in theory. Jesus in theory will give us all that we want. Jesus in theory will change the world, but only in ways that we prefer and that benefit us. At the time, Jesus in theory was supposed to raise up an armed rebellion, kill and drive off the Romans, and restore Judea's dignity and power. Jesus in theory will punish those who have crossed us and will maintain a status quo that benefits us. He'll reward us for our faithfulness and keep the outsiders on the outside. When we celebrate in church, I wonder whether sometimes we are celebrating Jesus in theory. Jesus in reality is less popular. He overturns what is familiar, sabotages the economy, and calls out religious authorities. He welcomes outsiders, eats with sinners so often that he gets a reputation for it. He takes difficult teachings and makes them even more difficult. And then he teaches in a way that even children can understand and questions why the adults struggle. He goes where we'd rather not go and welcomes those we would rather not see. At the table, we encounter Jesus in another way, as the prophetic rabbi, sharing Passover with his students and friends. He washes our feet. He tells us to love one another. But this is his new commandment, to love one another. And that commandment won't even last to the end of the night. Even here at this table, there is a traitor. One who is planned to be the beginning of the end. Whatever was in Judas's heart, whether he betrayed for money or to provoke a revolution, he's done all he can to seize the narrative and make the story of Jesus a story that he controls. Judas thinks he has decided what happens next. Meanwhile, the others can hardly stay awake. They sleep through their vigil until the cops show up to arrest Jesus. Judas gets what he wants, and it ruins his life. It's like that sometimes when we get what we want rather than what we need. This meal reveals who we are. We want to be in the room where it happens, to be invited to the special table. We want the story to be about us. We love one another, but only when love is easy. And when Jesus calls us to take a risk, we are suddenly so very sleepy. With the grand welcome of the palms and even the intimacy of the Passover meal, they all had grand expectations for a theoretical Jesus. When it came down to reality, when the crisis of Jesus' betrayal and arrest came, suddenly everyone was much more down to earth. Time to scatter, time to hide, time to deny we ever even knew the guy. We still turn our back on what we say we believe. We arrest the innocent. We torment people brutally. Today, no less than then. We kill innocent people all the time. In being crucified, Jesus wasn't special. It's estimated that the Roman Empire killed between 100,000 and 150,000 people by crucifixion during its tenure as an empire. So for them, they say, nail him up with 2 other bandits and be done with him. The crowds will turn on him once he's arrested, and his followers will scatter once he's dead. It's a story Rome told thousands of times. It's a story we still tell. It's a religious curse to die upon a tree. And it's a political curse to be arrested and tortured and killed by the government. Doubly cursed, Jesus died. And maybe those who put their trust in him cursed his name as well. This Sunday, this story reveals who we are. When in doubt, law and order usually wins out over prophetic change. We wish the kingdom had come in theory, but practically we're thankful that we're not the ones nailed to a cross. After the heartbreak of defeat, we go back to our lives. We go through Lent. Easter comes and goes. We go back to our lives. Maybe for us, the theoretical Jesus returns. He approves of the things we like, and he judges the things and people we don't like. He's happy if we don't change. And he's fine if the lives of the people around us don't change either. Theoretical Jesus asks very little of us. As we contemplate Jesus nailed to the cross, dying in agony under the boot heel of Rome and the religious authorities, it's important to ask what dies with him. Our expectations? The story we would tell if we were in control? Maybe our dreams of empire die as the evil of violence and authority is laid bare. The things that people hoped for, the things that they expected, died on that cross. No violent revolution to overthrow Rome, no new Davidic king, no glorious new kingdom. Not even any more time to be spent with the one who taught and healed and drove out demons. On that day, on that hill, the theoretical Jesus died. And so did the real Jesus. The loving, challenging, prophetic, unpredictable rabbi and healer, an exorcist. When we look to the cross now, we see a symbol of both life and death at once. At this culmination of the season of Lent, I encourage us to ask ourselves, what is dying in us? What is dying among us? What is dying in the world? And where is it that we are looking for new life. Amen.